mother, mother.
Go buy the Cucina de Catharina pasta sauce. It's better than your mama's gravy. I'm just telling you that right now. Go ahead and fight me on it. 5.0. You're not going to get a better sauce out of the jar from a store than Cucina de Catharina.
Boom, we're live.
Boom.
MMA Complete episode 34 in the books. We're coming to you live March 4th, 2021. We are 2 days away from the massive, gargantuan,
Huge.
heart-stopping,
It's only happened twice.
monumental,
It's only happened one time.
astronomical super fight card known as UFC 259, which will be headlined by Israel Adesanya versus Jan Blachowicz. But it does not stop there. So we talked about this last week about how like the big fights usually start at like 10 o'clock, 10:30. That's when we're really kind of getting into it. By then we're all kind of slumped from the 4 hours that we always do before that.
Oh yeah.
The big fights are starting at 8:30.
Really?
The big fights are starting at 8. No, prelims.
The big fights. Yeah, the big fights
prelims
yeah, you're right.
start the big fights.
Yeah, this is a crazy card.
This is a ridiculous card.
Not even the main
So
card.
in the prelims, the first big fight we're going to see is the flyweight number one contendership. Joseph Benavidez versus Askar Askarov. Askar Askarov 12-0-1. Joseph Benavidez something like 19-5.
Really?
Benavidez has been up there in the top of that number one contendership for a long time. 28-7, excuse me. Benavidez. Askarov is relatively new. Benavidez looking to fight for his 6th title fight ever. He's never won a title fight, but if he wins this, he'll eventually challenge the champ for what would be his 6th title fight. Holds the record for the most title fights without ever winning one, like I said last week.
Wow.
Besides that, though, we also have Dominic Cruz in the fucking prelims.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's a good
Crazy.
Fight. Good fight. I got Dominic
Dude,
Cruz.
crazy.
Yeah,
Dominic
that's sick,
Cruz.
Yeah.
Only fought one other time in the last 4.5-5 years, and that was a loss to Henry Cejudo. In that loss to Henry Cejudo, it wasn't even like, I mean, he got TKO'd, but he made the argument, and it's not concrete, but it has some credence to it, that he was trying to get up.
Yeah.
Like, he was trying to move and still be active, and he was a little bit when the ref stopped the fight. And it's funny because I can't remember that ref's name, but a couple days ago, Dominic Cruz came out and demanded that the UFC not give him the same ref as the one he had against Cejudo.
Yeah, I saw that,
Yeah.
and then
Put it
the
in
ref
the contract,
replied. The ref replied,
Right.
"I don't ref prelim fights."
Yeah.
Oh.
Isn't that great?
That's
It's
fucking
cold.
That's fucking great.
And, you know, I think that they'll probably do that.
That's fucking
Wow. But, yeah, Dominic Cruz looking to get back in the hunt at 135. And I think he will. I think that he'll beat Casey Kenny. But Casey Kenny's 16-2-1. He's a consummate wrestler. The one thing I think he has going for him besides his wrestling is I think he's probably in better shape than Dominic Cruz.
Yeah.
This man can fucking go. I was watching a little bit of his highlights. He is cardio, man.
Energy ball.
He was taking people down like nothing in the third round.
Good.
Like he was going. But I think Dominic Cruz is going to piece him up. And I also think Dominic Cruz's footwork is maybe the best footwork I've ever seen.
Better stand up than
Like he is.
Oh yeah, I'll probably catch him coming in a couple times.
Right. Like if he's standing flat-footed, a quarter of a second later, he's over there, switched up stance in a different position. Like he keeps you guessing so much.
Which is interesting because I think Dominic Cruz is the underdog.
He is the underdog, yeah.
in this
Really?
fight, yeah.
But I think that's because he hasn't won a fight in like 6 years.
Yeah, that would make sense. So
Right.
Lever the odds.
Now, mind you, in his last 3 fights, they were all for the Bantamweight Championship, and they were Cody Garbrandt, Henry Cejudo, and I think the other one was Cody Garbrandt too. No, I think he only lost one once. So maybe Dominic Cruz has beaten Dillashaw because he beat Dillashaw twice, And then he lost to Garbrandt, lost to Cejudo 4 years later. The reason he hasn't fought in 4 years is because this man, in the prime of his career, from the ages of like 25 to 29, when he was champ, tore his ACL like 4 times.
Oh, Jesus.
Right.
Yeah.
But he hasn't torn it in 4 years, so he's probably gotten a lot better. And he's still relatively young. I think he's like 31, 32.
Yeah, I don't think he's out of his prime yet.
Oh, he's 35. So he is pretty young. Casey Kenny, 29.
Yeah.
So what's interesting is the over-under in this 2.5.
Could you turn that to silent?
Yeah.
Sorry.
The over-under 2.5. Now, what do you think? How long this fight
I think it goes over. I think it goes 3
over?
rounds, yeah.
Now, I think it does too, but I mean, the numbers are ridiculous.
Mhm.
It's minus 250 for the over.
Yeah. That makes
The
sense.
unders-
Well, it's a
The
bantamweight
unders
fight. Not
plus
only
200.
that,
Which
but
is ridiculous. Like, I put $20 on that all day.
Yeah.
Like, why not?
Yeah. No doubt.
and then also on the card, obviously, we've only talked about the prelims. Going into the main card is something spectacular. So we have a correction to make. We have falsely advised everybody who's listened to this podcast for the last several weeks, and that is almost entirely due to my part. So I'd like to apologize. This is the second time that the UFC has 3 title fights in one night.
Oh, okay.
The first time was UFC 251. UFC 251 had Kamaru Usman defend against Jorge Masvidal.
Okay.
It had Amanda Nunes defend. Was it Amanda Nunes?
151?
Yeah,
He said
251.
251.
Amanda Nunes fight. I can't remember who she had fought. Amanda Nunes won, and then the vacant bantamweight title was fought for Piotr Jan versus Jose Aldo, which is why it didn't register me at the time because it wasn't a defending championship.
Yeah,
It was up
yeah.
for vacancy. So this is the second time that the UFC's going to have 3 title fights, and they've all happened within like 6 months of each other,
Yeah. That's
which is pretty crazy. And it's for similar belts. The bantamweight and the women's featherweight is on the line again, and then obviously we have the light heavyweight this time versus the welterweight last time.
When we're done talking about this, I have a good topic for us to talk about.
Okay. And it's likely not to happen again for at least a long time because obviously it never happened before May. No, July. July was 251. And with the way that all the COVID restrictions are working out, you see a lot of the champions are only fighting 2 times a year, which means that I would assume Dana White doesn't want to have them all on the same card. We're getting lucky in the fact that in the 2 pay-per-views coming up, we're getting 5 title fights.
Yeah.
Which is something I wouldn't expect to happen for a very long time. Very long time.
So that means there's 3 fights at 5 rounds. That's crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which means
Go
that
all
this
the way.
pay-per-view could go to 2 in the morning.
Yeah, it would make
Well,
sense
could go
too.
more.
Not only that, but we have in the prelims a flyweight fight that's probably 3 rounds and a bantamweight fight that's probably 3 rounds.
Yeah.
We're lucky because we have in the undercard matches of the main card, we have finishers. Thiago Santos, Alexander Rakic in the light heavyweight bout, that's most likely going to get finished, whether it be the first, second, or third round.
Yeah, definitely.
Islam Makhachev fighting Drew Dober. No disrespect to Drew Dober. We're not
Yeah,
very in depth with your career and your strengths and your weaknesses, but Islam Makhachev is heavily favored to win that by a finish.
He's proven how much.
You
of an
think
animal he is, yeah.
I think I would bet
Yeah.
for him to finish by KO or TKO.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it would be by TKO or sub, but yeah, I would
That kid's
definitely
striking
that.
is amazing.
It is. And yeah, so those are the 2 undercard fights that we have in the main card. Thiago Santos, number 2 light heavyweight versus Alexander Rakic, number 4. Islam Makhachev, is it Makhachev or Makhachev?
I think it's Makhachev.
Okay.
I think it's Makhachev.
Islam
We're
Makhachev,
Americans,
number
right?
14.
We don't know nothing.
Number 14 in the lightweight division versus Drew Dober unranked, which is happening after number 2 versus number 4 in the light heavyweight. I don't know why.
Yeah.
If you ask me, Islam Makhachev probably should have been prelims.
Yeah, that's what I think.
And I would have moved Benavidez Askarov to the main card. I mean, Dominic Cruz is a big name. Sure, you could. But you got number 2 versus number 4 in 2 fights in 2 different divisions.
For
And
the
one of them's in
number
the prelim. I don't know.
For the number 1 contender spot.
I
Right?
get it.
Yeah.
Flyweight's not a hugely contested, hugely popular division. Most people, at least that aren't just casual fans, most people that really follow the UFC know who Joseph Benavidez are. Not everybody knows who Askarov is, but he is 12-0-1. Like, this dude deserves some fucking respect, especially if he's fighting for the number 1 contendership.
Oh, yeah.
And And what would be sad to see is if this fight goes to a decision and Askarov wins and he's now 13-0 and he's a high-ranking contender in the flyweight division, but it happened in the prelims, so no one really saw it.
Yeah.
So he doesn't
won't
really get
the
a chance.
publicity.
Like maybe number 5, 2 months down the road gets a crazy knockout and he fights for the title right away. Like that would be kind of a travesty, but it's something that we're kind of accustomed to, especially nowadays in the UFC.
Yeah, broadcasts are spectacular. That's what they like to do, and it makes sense because it's
Right. Look at Khamzat Chimaev. Look at Joaquin Buckley.
Well, let's
We're gonna get to that. Yeah, we're absolutely gonna get to that. Just finishing off the rest of the fights for the card. We got 3 title fights. First of them being the bantamweight championship between Petr Yan and Aljamain Sterling. A clash of 2 different styles and a clash of 2 different body types. You got Petr Yan, who's like 5'6" and jacked. Aljamain Sterling, who's much more lankier. The wrestler Sterling versus the striker Yan.
Yeah.
In the second fight, we have Amanda Nunes versus Megan Anderson. We could talk about this for as long as we want. I don't know if it's going to do us that much good.
Megan Anderson.
We've talked about these fights for a while.
Joking.
So
Fingers crossed. Joking.
Megan Anderson is a bigger underdog than Derek Lewis.
Yeah, well,
Like way bigger.
Well, she's this. Yeah.
it
Like
could be
way
it
bigger.
could be worth a
Can I
10 spot.
say it? She's plus 700. So that's crazy.
Right.
Worth a 10 spot.
Isn't it? Isn't
Yeah.
it worth the 10 spot?
Anything's
Isn't it
possible.
worth-
It's a fight.
But the
Isn't
thing,
it worth Petr Yan and her on a parlay? Just
I don't know
whatever.
because
I
there's-
like Yan.
Yan might lose that fight.
Do
It's
you
very
really?
possible.
Yan is-
well, I have Sterling in her.
I
I
have
like
Yan,
Yan.
but
I have Adesanya.
Dude, it's
Anyway.
even right now, and I kind of like those numbers.
yeah,
So-
that's looking-
Megan
Sterling
Anderson.
and Yan.
Megan Anderson is 11-4,
Drop a
and
five
she
on-
has,
five on it?
and she's 1-2 in her last
I
3
got
fights.
5 on it.
2 of her last 3 fights.
She's won
Well,
1 of her last 3 fights.
Isn't she fighting Amanda Nunes because Amanda Nunes has already taken out the top contenders?
That's exactly why she's fighting
That's
him.
insanity.
So the 2 people that Megan Anderson have lost, and I'm going to go to her record right now because I want to get this right, but the 2 people that Megan Anderson have lost to most recently are the last 2 people to fight Amanda Nunes, and they obviously lost.
She
Oh,
lost,
so she's actually 2-3. I got that wrong. But she lost to Felicia Spencer, who Felicia Spencer was the person I couldn't think of in 251. She fought Amanda Nunes in 251 and lost
triangle choke, but it was in the last minutes of the round.
of the first round. So
Megan
Megan Anderson.
first round. Oh, I thought that's a third from here.
Yeah,
So
that's
Megan
good.
Anderson has
Yeah.
beaten 2 people I've never heard of, Zara Fawn and Norma Dumont. No disrespect to them. Just, we wonder about the level of competition outside of the top 5 of any women's division.
She's fighting the
And
most lethal woman of all time.
Right, especially. I just saw a video today. Do you know that not only did Amanda Nunes beat Ronda Rousey, Holly Holm, and Chris Cyborg, arguably the 3 best women in the UFC besides Amanda Nunes. You got others in there. You got like Misha Tate, you got Jermaine Durandamy, you got a couple other people. But those are arguably the 3 best and probably the 3 most known. Cyborg, Rousey, and Holm. Not only did she beat them all in the first round by knockout.
Damn, did not know that.
Come on.
Yeah.
Only the second person
Undisputed.
to beat Ronda Rousey, and she beat the only other person to beat Ronda Rousey. That was a different time. That was when the women's division wasn't as far along and as diverse as it is
It was
today.
still up and coming.
Right.
Ronda Rousey held that bitch down with 1 throw and an armbar.
Yeah. Ronda Rousey was, was she dominant. She was Anderson Silva of women's mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
Over
That
under.
head kick.
Over under in this fight.
Under.
It's 1.5.
I'd say that.
Megan
under.
Anderson, Amanda Nunes.
Yeah.
Under.
It's
1.5.
I know. I
Wow.
would say
I'd be willing to say under. Just because I feel like those odds are very nice.
over.
I'm gonna
is
say over.
130. I'm gonna say over.
I'm going to say over.
Yeah.
I think Amanda
130.
Nunes' last fight went the distance, didn't it?
So I would not be surprised if this went the distance, dude, because there's not a lot of film.
Amanda
not
Nunes'
as
last-
much film.
Amanda Nunes' last 2 fights went to distance.
Why is she gonna press?
Yeah, if she can just outstrike and ride it out.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, Nunes has a pretty good record. Holy shit.
She hasn't lost.
Knocked out Shayna Baszler. Submitted Sarah McMahon. Shayna Baszler is now in the WWE. Did you know that?
Awesome.
Wow.
Shayna Baszler got knocked out. Sarah McMahon got choked out. Valentina Shevchenko, UD the first time. Choked out Misha Tate. Knocked out Ronda Rousey. Split decision. Beat Valentina Shevchenko. Knocked out Raquel Pennington. Knocked out Christine Justino. Knocked out Holly Holm.
Jesus Christ.
And then won by unanimous decision against Jermaine Durandamy and Felicia
She's
Spencer.
fucking built different, dude.
It's
That's an animal
ridiculous.
right there.
It's so ridiculous. And again, no offense to Megan Anderson. She's a warrior. I've seen a couple of her fights, and she like takes punches like most people fucking can't. She really does. In one of her last fights, I think it was against Dumont. I'm pretty sure it was against Dumont. She took an uppercut and she went down, and Dumont was just hammer fisting her, and she got right back up and finished the fight in like maybe 3 minutes later. Like, she's a warrior, but you can only take that from fucking Amanda Nunes for so long.
Yeah, that's.
And I think
that's
she does that over a round and a half, dude.
Right. Amanda Nunes not only is one of the hardest punchers in the division, she's probably the smartest with her combos. Remember how Justin Gaethje was a wild guy, and then he fought Tony Ferguson, and it was like patient, precision strikes?
Yeah.
That's what Amanda Nunes has been her whole career. And then obviously we have the main event. Jan Blachowicz defends his light heavyweight title against Israel Adesanya, which we are going to be talking about for the most part for the rest of this podcast.
Isn't Megan Anderson like one of the tallest girls that?
I'm not sure. Megan Anderson is 6 feet tall. That is correct.
Yeah.
But I believe that Jermaine Durandamy is. Oh no, she's 5'9". So yeah, it's very likely that.
Yeah, like
Excuse
5'6".
me. This is the tallest person Amanda Nunes has ever fought against. How tall do you think Nunes is? 5'8". So there's a 4-inch height advantage and a 4-inch reach advantage for Megan Anderson. So that's something. That is something. Right. Will it be the deciding factor?
I think Nunes will just take her down, dude.
I don't think dude. I
don't think so.
I wonder.
I don't think
not
so.
With that height advantage.
I wonder.
Height advantage and not.
How many takedowns does Nunes have in her? Oh, she has quite a few. Oh, in her last 2 fights, she has 14 takedowns. All right. But before that, in her last 6 fights, she only had 5.
So she didn't need them.
That's also true. That is a good point. Before these last 2 decision victories by Amanda Nunes, she had 4. Well, she had 6 of her 9 fights end in the first round.
It's a scary fucking
But look, every time she does have takedowns in a fight, it goes to decision. It goes to decision every time. Every time she does takedowns. So if we see takedowns,
except for Raquel Pennington, which was ended in the 5th round by knockout.
That's a good observation, though. That is a good point to bring up.
No, like looks, yeah.
Because if she sticks to that game plan,
if she sticks to that game plan, this shit's gonna go to a decision.
I will say, Megan Anderson has had 5 fights in the UFC. In that time, she's had 1 takedown. So Megan Anderson is probably going to look to stand with her. But we are going to take a quick commercial break, and then we will be right back to talk about a couple prerequisites before our final segment, where we're just going to dive headfirst into the full card. So we'll be right back. You're watching MMA Complete, brought to you by SFBNRI. Check out all SFBNRI platforms at YouTube, Periscope, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and check out our newest sports company.
Naked Sports.
I don't know what you want to call it. Platform would probably be the closest thing to call it. Naked Sports on IG Live. Also, check out MMA Complete on YouTube and Twitter. And we're back. All right, so we got a couple of topics that we're going to talk about. Probably going to talk about them for about 15 minutes, and then at around 8:35, we're going to have 15 minutes to just talk about like the big fights for 259, because that's why we're all here. All right, so you want to talk about yours first? You want to talk?
Yeah.
All right.
So should the UFC have more weight divisions in it?
I am a proponent of yes.
Into it. I think they should. Yes too.
Now, I think that there's a limit, because I don't want to see every weight class turned into a 5-pound buffer.
No,
I don't think that should
either.
be.
I think there should maybe be 2 or 3 more.
Right, I agree with that.
Okay.
I think.
Now you said no at first.
Yeah, but then.
But I want to see now, because I think everyone would say yes. But why do you think no? Like, what's your first reason?
Well, I was thinking that the weight classes are already spread out enough for the reason that they are, and I don't want too many weight classes, because then you have to advertise those weight classes. And we've already seen how hard it is for weight classes like flyweight and bantamweight to really get attention. I mean,
That's a great
the casual
point.
viewer hasn't heard about bantamweight since Dillashaw and Cody Garbrandt.
Right.
And but I do think that super heavyweight would be a great weight class to add in there. And like some of the points you brought up, 195 would be awesome to see. Even
185.
Yeah.
Well, 185 is middleweight.
180.
Yeah,
I don't know
I
if-
was talking about middleweight.
I don't know if I would do 180. That's like the
Is
trickiest
it middleweight
spot.
170?
No, middleweight, welterweight's 170.
Welterweight
Middleweight's
one-
185.
185.
But that's the trickiest spot when you get two weight divisions separated by 15 pounds. Because you're like, where's the do you go 190?
Do
you go
7 point?
you
like
go
7 pounds?
177? Like, do you go right in the middle? You could. You really could.
Middleweight could go to 180.
Middleweight could go to 180. That's another option. But you already have that division set in stone for the last 15 years. Would you really want to change it?
but it's a business.
you totally could.
It is what
And
it is. Like,
I think it.
then move up. Move up.
Right. That's another argument for it. I would
wanna
be
stay
curious. I think that what Mark was talking about is the biggest reason. I think that they don't want to have too many divisions. Now, when I started watching the UFC, 2008, whatever it was, there was no lightweight was the smallest weight.
Yeah.
And then I want to say around 2011, like when Jose Aldo was the first champion underneath 155 at or at featherweight. And then they obviously added the bantamweight and the flyweight. And I think that to market other weight classes would be something that would be challenging. But I think what the biggest factor is say, let's say 195, right? Let's just start with that conversation because I think that one makes the most sense. You could say super heavyweight, but since we already have a 20 pound gap between middleweight and light heavyweight, I think that would make the most sense to split in half.
10. It's real easy.
Right. Say you have light heavyweight now, or say you have in between middle and light heavyweight. And I can give you a perfect example, Paulo Costa. Paulo Costa is a guy that could be light heavyweight, but he fights in middleweight, so that 195 might be perfect for him.
Mm-hmm.
But how many other guys are you going to get? How many top level guys are you going to get that fills in that?
True.
We talk about like some
Bring in
divisions.
more guys. Like it brings.
Where are you bringing them from?
I
understand-
where you get.
I understand
Usmans
that
and
is-
Francis Ngannou's,
Right,
bro.
and that
You know
is
what I
a
mean? That's
process that happens ongoing all the time. But when you have a division like that, the strongest thing for a new division is a long-standing champ, i.e. Dominic Cruz, Jose Aldo. It legitimizes
People would
that
move up.
division.
People would move up.
And I
People would
agree
move
with you that
down.
people would move up, but you want
People would
to
move down too.
be able to like look at the middleweight and the light heavyweight division. Yes, I understand there's a lot of turmoil and people switching and going back and forth now, but it's built on people that have stayed in that weight class forever and have made that weight class strong. People like Michael Bisping, people like Anderson Silva, people that have stayed in that weight class and just made it feel like it's
there. Like it's there for a purpose.
So when you have a 195 and you have a guy that might head it up like Apollo Costa, because I think that he really would, like that is a perfect example for it. What do you got else got? You got two other guys and then like a bunch of guys that we're saying,
Well, it should be spread out by 10 pounds. You know what I mean? Like you figure it out. Like you talk to professionals and you talk to like nutritionists and stuff.
and I agree with
I
you.
think it would be like 10 pounds each division. Like that makes sense.
And I agree with you that would make sense. I just wonder how long it would take to get a solid top 5 or top 10. A solid top 10 in every division, whereas now it's like some divisions barely have a strong top 5. If we had more weight classes, it would just thin things out. And I don't think it's a bad idea. I just wonder how long it would take to really get that.
That's a lot of talent to find and a lot of talent leaving other weight classes to fight.
Now, do I think that it's going to work for every division? No. Do I think that super heavyweight would work? Yes. I think super heavyweight, if we're going to add weight classes, that is the first one I think we should add. Another one we could add.
People won't be cutting weight as much though if they know they only have to cut 10 pounds. You know what I mean?
Another division you could think about is women's lightweight division.
Yeah.
Yeah, to 155 in women's. I think that would be really good too.
Is it capped at 145?
Yeah, 145.
Yeah, wow.
Women's featherweight.
That's something that should have been done already.
Well, you got to think most women aren't over 6 feet tall, and most featherweights that, most lightweights that trim down to 155, they are about 6 feet tall. So it's the same thing that I just mentioned. Would there only be 4 people that are really good in that division? In that case, do you want to make that a fucking highlight division?
Women have less body fat on them anyway.
Right.
And stuff. Like, it's hard for them to even to gain as much weight as
I think I'm sure that there's some 6'3" kickboxing women out there that would love to fight and they can't. And there's other promotions that do it. There's women's lightweight divisions and other promotions.
It seems like a Japan thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? They do some weird fights like that.
All right, so next topic. We went 5 minutes on that. We're going to go 5 minutes on the next one, Khamzat Chimaev.
Oh, boy.
Okay. Now, me and Zach were talking.
Bro, this was so funny how this happened. This was crazy.
Me and him were talking, and we're like...
What was this, Tuesday?
Yeah. We're talking about him, and we're like, he's about to face Neil Magny and stuff, and that's his next thing.
And we said, if he knocks out Neil Magny, is he going to go top 5 right away? Is that fucking fair? Does that make sense?
I'm like, yeah, it kind of does, because after this fight with Leon Edwards, if Leon Edwards wins, then it's a 3 versus 5 fight.
Right. And we were arguing about this for half an hour.
Yeah. So then I go on Twitter after we're done talking. I'm 2 minutes scrolling in. Khamzat Chimaev.
40 minutes ago.
40 minutes ago. Retired.
We're like,
retired.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Retired. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then Dana White comes out and says, "Oh, he was just joking.
He's not really
going
retired.
through a tough time and stuff. Recovering."
I heard his body is, pretty fucking destroyed from COVID apparently, and he has said he didn't take care of his body for his entire life building up to the UFC, which it does play a factor. And if the dude really does want a life outside of fighting,
who can blame him?
Yeah, go and get it. That's
totally
tough sport.
Understandable. It's unprecedented.
He's got 3 bonuses.
It's unprecedented
and knockout bonuses too. Not even fight of the nights.
It's unprecedented for someone who is 3-0 in the UFC to leave. And
with as much of a hype as he has, what does he have?
With or without the hype.
600,000 followers.
With or without the hype. You don't see a guy who's making, and maybe that actually plays more into it. Maybe you're more likely to leave if you're 3-0 if you have made money versus if you haven't. Because if he was 3-0 but he's only made $20,000 off UFC, then maybe he's like, okay, I got to keep fighting and make more money.
Yeah.
But Chimaev won almost damn near $200,000 in performance bonuses alone in his 3 fights.
Who knows how much that's worth over in the homeland?
Who knows in his homeland? Who knows the Subway deals he's getting, and who knows the commercials and the gym sponsorships he's getting? He could be I'll take at least 2 years off and just get money, and then my body will be totally better, and then I'll be ready to go.
Plus, he's riding high right now. Why take the risk? You're getting all this shit right now.
And he hasn't lost, so he can go on Twitter and talk all the shit he wants, and no one can really say anything. You can talk back to him, but you're not like, this fucking guy. I understand it. Do I think that he's retired for good? No. No. Absolutely. He's 27.
Yeah, and he just started fighting. It's not like he...
Right.
It's not like he just going to be... He just started it. He just started professional career, 4-0, and you're just going to say, all right, I'm done. No, that's not... It's not like what a human does. That's not human nature.
No.
You want to go out and make...
We've seen that happen.
You want to win. What the frick are you doing?
We've seen that happen sometimes. The best example I can remember, is
49
in the NFL 4 years ago, there was a 49ers linebacker who won Defensive Rookie of the Year at 22 years old and retired after that one season.
22 years old.
Yeah, he was like, I made $2 million off my rookie season. I got this accolade. I got sponsorships. I'm good. I'm going to save my brain.
Retired, yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
It's completely weird and unheard of, but it makes sense. It really does. And I think that 3 months, 6 months, a year, probably less than a year, Dana White will be like, listen,
it comes out.
Leon Edwards just lost and he's looking for a fight to get back in the top 5. And I'm going to give you $1 million to fight him in the main event. And we're going to advertise the shit out of your comeback. And
I don't even really care anymore.
I don't either, but it'd be nice
to downer.
No, really.
Just took it down.
It's just this guy, dude, is just a fucking...
That's what I've said the entire time. I'm like, it's just a guy. It's really just a guy. He had 2 really impressive performances against... He had 2 really impressive performances against nobodies. The 2 guys that he fought, we talk about how it was 194 to 2 strikes.
Yeah.
Those guys' combined UFC record is 1-5.
Isn't one of them not even in the UFC anymore?
Yeah. And he was like 0-3.
They're both not.
Right. And then he had a huge knockout of a veteran who is past his prime. That's legitimate. But besides that, he hasn't done anything. He's 14th ranked right now. He doesn't deserve it. It's name only, which was why we got in the conversation of, is it fair for him to get a win and go to the top 5 anyway?
We've already decided, not really. That's just advertising by Dana.
Everything we said about Michael Chandler before his UFC debut is like double for Kamaev.
Yeah.
Michael Chandler.
That
What
guy
the fuck
proved
does he
us
face?
the fuck wrong.
All right, so we got 5 more minutes before our next commercial break.
All right.
Is there any other topics that we want to talk about before we get into UFC 259?
What was yours? The water. Cutting weight.
Oh, cutting weight. Yeah, I'd like to see,
Same day
or
weigh-ins.
day before weigh-ins.
Mhm. What is it, 2 days now?
Yeah,
It's
now
something
like 2
like,
days, enough time to rehydrate.
I think it's like 60 hours technically.
Yeah.
Like the weigh-in happens at like 5 p.m. and their fight's usually at like 10 p.m., something like that.
And I just like seeing guys like Paulo Costa. Like, there's no way that guy weighs 185. There's no fucking way in hell. He's like at least 195, 200, at least.
Right now, Paulo Costa is probably like 225, like walking around. At his fight against Adesanya, he was probably 210.
And hungover on wine, apparently.
Oh my god, I don't even want to get into
I
that.
was
Dude.
listening to
Ariel Helwani ripped him apart. Did you guys see that? Helwani ripped him. He was like, as far as the worst and most egregious post-fight excuses go, this ranks right up there with, and it was someone else's about like they fell out of bed in the morning and it like hurt their foot. Like it was some dumbass excuse.
That's pretty funny.
And Helwani ripped him
I was
apart.
listening to a Joe Rogan podcast today, and they said Paul Costa walks around 215.
I believe it. That dude's fucking huge. His arms are
So
literally
he drops
like,
30 pounds a fight, which
Yeah.
is like insane.
that's like what? That's less than
That's
15.
14%.
Okay, that makes sense. And that's why same day weigh-ins would be good, because he would fight at light heavyweight.
Right.
Yeah,
And
have to.
At 6 foot tall, why shouldn't
Probably be better for his health too, honestly.
Yeah.
right. And they
'Cause he
do
wouldn't
it.
force himself.
They do it. It's a tactical
Yeah.
move, because if you're supposed to be fighting at 205, but you can make weight for middleweight,
Yeah.
that just gives you extra power of all the guys you're going to be fighting against, because you have the power of a light heavyweight fighting against middleweights. That's a big boost for Costa, especially because he is someone that likes to throw heavy strikes.
Yeah, it would. And light heavyweight.
Yoel Romero's like the same thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And look at Yoel Romero goes to Bellator, light heavyweight.
Joe Rogan. I was listening to the GSP podcast again. I listened to it like 3 times, but they were saying Yoel Romero, he can cut so much weight because his muscles are so big and it holds so
Yeah.
much more water. Like it's so much more
It's
water
specimen.
retention.
If you want to talk about genetic freaks in the UFC, Yoel Romero's probably like Brock Lesnar's up there. Yoel Romero's like probably number
You
one.
want to talk
Yeah, I
about
argue that.
fucking up divisions? Like same day weigh-ins would fuck up divisions way more.
It
than-
absolutely would.
That's why. it
way
probably has
more
to
than
And there would-
add-in divisions.
And there would be a lot more cancellations of fight that day, which is
Yeah.
another reason
Mhm.
it couldn't happen. Because if you advertise right up until the day of the pay-per-view and then the weigh-in kicks that fight out of the way, you're fucked.
Yeah.
You have no replacement fights, and it's just a mess.
And you could say, let's say some fighter's getting sick and he's struggling to make the weight.
Right.
That could be a factor.
And then you have the guy that missed 2 weight classes of weight,
So 12 pounds?
11 and a half,
11
I
and
think.
a half
Yeah.
pounds.
That's when the UFC had to step up and finally, like Adesanya said to Dana White when he won the fight, in the ring, in the octagon, he said that fighters that miss weight should get like 20%, and the fighter that does make weight should get 80% of their purse. Like,
Right, because right
or
now,
not get paid at all, or whatever.
and I don't think you can say that. I think the least you could do is 50%, because if a guy's going in the ring, he's
But
deserves
knowingly,
to get paid.
like that, you
Some-
have to make this
Something
I
harsh.
think
in
Something
order to
harsh we need
fight.
to have.
I think that you could make a case
Break
for
your
like
contract.
all right, so already if you don't make weight, 20% of your purse goes to the other guy. That's what the rule is right now. On top of that, you could say like every pound off that you are, that's another 5%.
Mhm.
You could do that. So if you're 10 pounds over, you're given 70%.
That doesn't happen though.
Can't even fight
That
at that.
10 pounds never. That doesn't happen.
No, I realized.
I know.
that.
It just,
I realized
I know
the fight.
it just happened.
I realized the fight wouldn't go.
Shouldn't.
I realized the fight wouldn't go underway.
Yeah.
But the fighter still gets paid a little bit of money from the UFC for the promotional value, and so 70% of that would go to the guy. I'm saying
Okay.
because of the guy that was fighting. I can't remember the guy's name that missed weight by 11 and a half, but his opponent should have gotten like 75% of what the other guy made because he's the guy that made weight and he's not going to get paid his full amount.
He cost that dude the fight and pocket from beating that guy.
So he might have made like 10 grand and his contract was for like 29 grand, like something like that. Like that is for a 3-month camp, losing 2/3 of the money you were guaranteed to get.
Paying coaches.
That's crazy.
Yeah, paying bills.
Now you're paying bills and coaches out of your pocket. Versus
Dana White definitely steps in though. Like he's a billionaire.
Absolutely.
He steps in and pays. Like he gives the Nelf boys like $100,000 to go gamble in Vegas. Like,
all right, so we are going to be right back to talk about the UFC 259 card. Huge card. Whoa, big card. Coming up next, and we are going to do that right after the break. So you're watching MMA Complete, brought to you by SFBNRI. Check out all SFBNRI platforms at YouTube, Periscope, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. Check out Naked Sports' new sports platform that we will be doing a betting podcast on. So check that out whenever we do it. I think we're going to start in the next 2 weeks. Also check out MMA Complete on YouTube and on Twitter. And also, right before us on Thursday nights is 10 of 10 Throwdown, hosted by Nickel Blanc. Nickel Blanc was nice enough to shout me out this week, as I think he does every week. So thank you, Nick. So I will return the favor, and we were watching MMA Complete. We'll be right back with UFC 259. Boom, we're live.
Boom, we're live again.
All right, UFC 259. We've been waiting for this for roughly our whole lives.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much our whole lives.
This is a huge card, man. You know, we've been doing this since July, and there's been several cards. July.
I don't know.
And it's
I'm just saying shit.
and there have been several cards that have piqued our interest. 254 with Khabib really did.
That was probably
UFC 256 over-delivered with that fucking main event. You know, we weren't really thinking that much. It was a flyweight, but that exceeded our expectations.
Fight of the year to me.
257 was supposed to be a super card, but kind of underwhelmed us. Conor McGregor fight is always more hype than it's probably going to be. 252 was really good, I thought. Miocic Cormier 3 with Sean O'Malley on the undercard. That was pretty good. And I think that this will not only be the best, but be the far best. You know, the Khabib fight made 254 what it was.
A lot of questions, this one.
But this card has 6-7 fights that are like,
questions
shit.
that need answers.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the only right thing to do would be to start at the top and work our way down. Light heavyweight championship main event, Jan Blachowicz versus Israel Adesanya. The last style bender. Israel.
That's right.
Israel.
Okay. Why you guys both looking at me?
Let's hear it all.
So, yeah, let's hear it. What do you
All right.
think?
What do I think?
What do you think?
Oh man,
I
it's
know what you
just
said to me a couple hours ago.
It's very difficult. I'm on the ropes because it's a 5-round fight and all it takes is one punch from Jan, to just start swinging like Francis Ngannou did.
You're not comparing Jan Blachowicz to Francis Ngannou, are you?
No.
Okay.
But
There's no but.
But maybe.
He is maybe the Francis Ngannou of that division, and I think Adesanya
Maybe.
is jumping up.
Big maybe.
He's jumping up.
Mm-hmm.
So
That is a high weight increase. What is it, 20 whole pounds?
yeah.
But his last fight was against arguably the light heavyweight Paulo Costa, who he took 2 uppercuts from and kept coming.
Yeah, okay.
But I don't mean to interrupt you. Go on.
It's just and the weight difference, dude. There's a big weight difference.
It's
in this
not as
fight.
big as you think, though. Like it's
It's
12
not that
pounds.
big.
It's 12 pounds. Adesanya says he's going to be coming in around 193.
193.
Really? Whoa.
Yeah.
Wait, he's coming in underweight?
Oh, yeah. Oh, he said he's been underweight the whole time. He's not coming in at
Ooh,
205.
that changes things.
He's going to be quick as fuck, dude.
He is.
He's going to be
but
way quicker than
He's gonna
Blachowicz.
jump out of bed. No, not.
I-
But what's
He's not
Jan?
going to cut any weight.
No, but yeah, it's not gonna be 12-pound difference. Jan's gonna be like
probably
That's
30
a good
pounds
pound. He's
higher.
probably going to be 215. at the
No,
fight.
I'd say at least 220.
I say 220, 225.
Maybe.
Because he walks in there. You got meat on him, that boy.
He absolutely does,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a big weight difference, and I think
What
is
did, you,
Adesanya really gonna have to kick this dude in the head?
what did you say
You know
to
what I
me,
mean?
though?
Like,
I don't
how
think he
many-
needs to. I think he can punch him out. I totally think
I think he
punch
can
him out.
outpunch him for
I
sure.
think he's more technical in his punches. I think he can get Jan. I think he can get Jan frustrated and catch Jan coming in hot. I really think that could happen. But all Jan needs to do is hit one punch. And I always say I've said this. I've bet a lot, lost a lot, and I've always lost on the people that have that one punch ability. Always choose the guy that's more technical, and I think that's
So that's the
Adesanya.
coolest
So
thing about a fight.
So what you're
I
saying is,
what I'm saying is Adesanya is gonna win, and I'm not changing my opinion.
Okay,
on
so
it.
you're sticking with
I'm
it.
Really?
not changing my opinion on it.
you
at
just
all.
changed it. You
I
said
didn't.
something different 2 hours ago.
No, I didn't. I
On
never
camera.
said Jan.
This is
I
recorded.
Not
never,
on camera. Not on camera.
I never said Jan was gonna win. I said he has a very, very, very good chance when he's 20, 25
Give me a percentage.
pounds.
Give me a percentage for Jan.
50-50, dude.
Ooh, wow. Okay.
It's 50-50.
Alright.
Like five out of 10 times Jan wins. 5 out of 10 times Adesanya wins.
Would you like to go next?
Yeah, you guys are gonna hate me. Jan Blachowicz, I got this fight for him.
I know you do.
Yeah, and like
You've been saying that for like 2 weeks now.
yeah,
Yeah.
a couple weeks, I'm not totally ruling out Adesanya here. Like that guy's obviously gonna be at a lighter weight now. I didn't know that. He's gonna be flying around Blachowicz, but
Much faster.
man, if
Which also
it
thinks
could
that
go to
I
the
think
ground,
he can dodge him and catch him.
I'm interested to see how that works.
Now, I'm going to make a counterpoint to my own opinion, which we'll get to next.
Okay.
Jan Blachowicz has more submission victories than knockout victories.
Really? Damn, didn't even know.
That is a stat I found very interesting. Very interesting. Because when you think of Jan Blachowicz, you think of knockouts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, he could take him to the ground. Dude.
He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt,
Yeah.
Jan Blachowicz.
Adesanya's
Do
gonna
you know, any
aim it for
wrestling
those front
background?
leg
I
kicks.
don't. I don't know.
Those
One
low
thing-
front leg kicks.
One thing I want to point out that's very prominent now. Adesanya's coming in at 193. We've already decided that Blachowicz is probably going to be 220 pounds. Adesanya's what? Purple belt in jiu-jitsu?
Couldn't tell
Purple
you.
belt.
Yeah,
He just got his purple
he's been
belt.
talking about wanting to try out his ground game.
I think there's no chance he
I
goes
don't
to the
think-
ground.
I
this
don't
fight.
think he
not,
does.
not with the weight difference.
But if Blachowicz gets him to the ground, that's 30 fucking pounds and a black belt in jiu-jitsu.
Mhm.
That's gonna be really hard for Adesanya to deal with, who
Absolutely.
isn't known for his ground game.
Can I make one other
Hasn't
point,
really
though?
been on the ground.
Do you know
At
how
all.
much time Adesanya spent on the ground not in control?
Let's hear it.
0 seconds.
He's
He's
been on the
never
ground.
been taken down. He's never been under someone's guard in the UFC.
I think that happens this fight, and
Either
That's
Justin
why-
Gaethje.
the numbers.
He had
This is
he
what
had
I,
never been taken down, but he'd been on the ground against.
now I remember what I said. The number is what makes it interesting in this fight because the dude's fucking
That's
plus
a big
200, dude. Like
that's a
fuck,
big
like-
weight jump to me. So I'm sticking with what I've been saying. I've been saying Jan Blachowicz, by
I'm
surprise knockout.
surprised that Adesanya's where the number of him where his is at minus 240 because it doesn't make sense, dude.
I'm going to make one
It
other
doesn't
point.
make sense.
I'm going to make one other point in favor of Blachowicz. Yesterday, Israel Adesanya came out and said that he thinks in December he will fight John Jones.
That guy wants him. He really does.
This is the first time now we've heard him talk shit to John Jones. This is the first time he's actually set a date that he'd be interested in having the fight. Could he be looking past Jan Blachowicz?
Yeah.
Could Adesanya be underestimating Jan Blachowicz and looking past him? I don't think that he's completely underlooking him. I think that he's very focused on the fight.
That's the way Adesanya is too.
Right. But I think that a part of him is looking at John Jones. Which, by the way, I don't think that'll happen because John Jones is going to fight in like July,
That's
maybe
so much
August.
weight, so much weight to put on.
But if Adesanya loses, like that fight goes out the window
Oh yeah.
Right, exactly.
immediately.
Exactly.
Immediately. Like if he loses, out immediately because John Jones has never lost, so you're never gonna fight that guy.
Let me make my points because I think Adesanya will win.
Okay.
And I've stood firm on this. I truly believe that Adesanya will win. One, Jan Blachowicz is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He has more submission wins. That doesn't change the fact that he's a stand-up fighter.
Mhm.
You know, he's great technically on the ground, but he's a stand-up fighter. In his last fight, he didn't go to the ground once. He knocked out Dominic Reyes, another stand-up fighter. He also got knocked out by Thiago Santos, who didn't go to the ground. That was like 2 years ago. Israel Adesanya is the most precise striker in the UFC that we've seen since Conor McGregor. His accuracy is the best UFC's ever seen in someone who's fought, I think, over 6 fights, including Conor McGregor. Israel Adesanya will be a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
Not
Much quicker.
much quicker.
Israel Adesanya also has some of the greatest combinations I've ever seen. That dude can go from a lead jab to a lead roundhouse to an uppercut in like half a second.
Yeah.
Like fucking bananas combos.
Yeah, and he has a 2-inch reach advantage.
He does. This will be the biggest guy Adesanya's fought by far. Is something. It's definitely something. I
He's taller.
think that this fight goes a lot longer than people think.
Yeah.
I think that this fight could go to a decision.
I think they're
I think
both
it will-
scared of each other's power. I really do. I really, really do.
I think
You gotta be scared of those kicks, dude.
Jan can't afford being scared.
Yeah, I know, but dude, even the front leg kicks, that takes
that is
away
the
his
last
power.
point I'm going to make.
Okay.
I think Adesanya will chop down Jan Blachowicz. I think that in the first round, we see a stance switch. I think that Blachowicz is going to really get those legs taken out of him. And because of that,
Does he come out in a stance switch?
no, that doesn't make that wouldn't make a difference. You know, he's orthodox, so he's going to come out with his right leg back, and I think he's going to get his left leg fucking torn open, and then he's going to switch to a southpaw, and then by round 2-3, he's going to get his right leg taken out, and then by round 4 or 5, it's going to become a very serious problem.
It's going to be a dance fest for Adesanya. That's the way it goes.
And I think that his quickness is really going to contribute to that. I think the fact that he's going to be able to, a lot of times we see guys going for a leg kick and get caught because the person telegraphs it. The guy Adesanya is able to get a leg kick in and back out before Jan Blachowicz knows what hit him. I do think that Blachowicz could end this fight with one punch or kick. Whereas Adesanya, I don't know if he has the knockout ability against Blachowicz.
Okay.
I think he has a technical knockout ability. I think that he can rock him and then hit him with 1 or 2 more times to bring him down.
Mhm.
I think that Blachowicz has the ability to flatline Adesanya, which I don't see Adesanya having because the weight advantage is going to really help Jan Blachowicz.
It'll take like a sight blockage or something for Adesanya to get caught at that speed.
I want to make one point. With the front leg kick point, Dustin Poirier, I was watching his podcast with Joe Rogan, he came out and said that he thought Conor broke his leg. That's because he hit him with one leg kick. He had to go to the hospital and get checked and everything. Ended up not being broken at all, but just imagine how much pain Conor McGregor was in.
Right.
If Poirier was in pain just from, a couple from his, you know what I mean? It's kind of crazy.
All right, so that took the 15 minutes I thought that we would take for the entire fight. So let's just go down the rest of the card. We're going to pick winners.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Amanda Nunes, Megan Anderson.
Nunes.
Nunes.
But I'm going to say decision.
Piotr Jan, Aljamain Sterling.
Jan.
Piotr.
Sterling.
Okay.
I got Sterling.
Yeah, Jan.
And I know that Dylan has Sterling as well.
Okay, so 2-2.
Makachev, Dober.
Makachev. Wait,
Makachev.
Dober.
Dober, yeah. Santos, Rakic.
Santos. Yeah, I got Santos. Let's see that fight stand up.
What do you think?
I think that this is the craziest fight of the night. I think that this is two to three rounds of bombs being thrown. Bombs. Fucking bombs. I think that if Santos doesn't get his legs kicked in, because Alexander Rakic has great leg kicks.
Yeah, that's a big
If
factor.
he doesn't get his legs kicked in, Santos wins.
Yeah.
And I think that either way, it's going to be finished.
I really think Santos just has that job.
I'm going to go with Santos for my official prediction.
Okay. Got it in the books now. Santos really 37.
Tail of the tape is
He's
almost
37.
exactly the same.
That's all right, though.
But Thiago Santos didn't start fighting until
I'm gonna
31.
go with the. I think I've said this in a podcast before. I'm gonna go with experience. So I'm gonna go with the experience on this one with Santos.
All right.
And then we have Dominic Cruz, Casey Kenny.
All right.
Dominic Cruz.
Casey Kenny fan.
Dominic Cruz.
And Casey Kenny.
Joseph Benavidez, Askar Askarov.
Benavidez. I haven't really seen Askarov fight, so.
I don't really know these two, so I'm gonna go.
I'm going to say Askarov because
Okay.
I think Askarov's a little bit younger. He's 12-0. Joseph Benavidez has unfortunately, because I really do like Joseph Benavidez. He's a great guy, and he's also a really great fighter, but he has his big fights he loses, and he gets knocked out a good amount.
Okay, that's good. That's interesting.
For instance, when the flyweight, you know how the flyweight title was vacated for a while because Cejudo had both, and he didn't defend the flyweight title for like a year, and then he just vacated it. Figueiredo Benavidez was to decide the winner of that. Figueiredo came in overweight, so it wasn't for the title. Figueiredo choked out Benavidez. They fought again because obviously it wasn't for the title, and this time Figueiredo made weight, and Figueiredo knocked him out in the first round. Benavidez also lost to Henry Cejudo, and he also lost to Mighty Mouse twice.
Yeah.
So those are his 5 title fights. The biggest fights of his career he all lost.
Those are some names, boy.
Askar Askarov is not yet in that fucking caliber of big names. But Askarov is 12-0, which is something that really
Piques the interest.
It's just very interesting. He also is 2 inches taller,
That's
and he
nice
has a little bit
advantage.
of a reach advantage.
Yeah, that's nice.
I think that Benavidez is getting older. He's had a lot of fights in his book. I think that Askarov takes it.
I think Askarov takes it. You just sold me. So thank you.
And I think that is all that we have for the big fights. That is Sean Brady versus Jake Matthews. That's interesting. Jake Matthews is a little bit of a he's been a veteran. And by the way, this is saying that we're starting at 6:00, the early prelims,
On Saturday?
because there's a lot of early prelims. That's why. Holy shit. There's usually 3. There's 6.
What a fucking card.
Jesus.
What time? At
6:00.
All right, so that means
We're starting at 6:00. I'm not doing it at 5:00. I'm not doing an 8-hour podcast. Fuck that. 8.5 hours? No, thank
You
you.
don't want to put
Watch
in a
it
full
go to
day.
2 a.m.
Full day. Of,
You put in a full shift. Put in a full
shift.
shift. All right, so that's going to do it for us, guys, for our MMA Complete episode 34, getting ready for UFC 259. We are going to be out of here. I can't wait for this card.
Yeah.
This is going to be a great card. I've had it underneath in the ticker, all podcast. We are going to go live at 6 p.m., and we are going to go all the way to 1:30 or 2 p.m. because there's fucking 2 a.m. or
This
because
could
there's
be an 8-hour.
It really could be because there's 3 championship fights that they're not
5
likely to
rounds.
go 5 rounds, but you know,
There's a couple.
we've said that
looking
before,
like
and
it,
they
yeah.
could. So we are going to be live for about 8 hours. We're going to be doing a podcast beforehand, and we're obviously going to be doing analysis throughout the fights. So that's going to be 6 to 8, or the prelims are going to be 6 to 8, and then we got the main
Are
card.
we betting deeds on this?
I'll get back to you on that. I don't think so.
I don't know what I'm doing.
I have some bets that are.
The last time I knew this, like I was telling you the other day, the last time I knew this many people on a card was the Khabib fight.
Mm-hmm.
Went pretty well for me.
Right.
So.
All right. So that's going to do it for us. Check out every Thursday night. We broadcast every Thursday night on SFBNRI, MMA Complete. Check out MMA Complete YouTube and Twitter. And wherever you're watching this now, whether it's SFBNRI Facebook, whether it's our YouTube, whether it's Periscope, Twitch, Twitter, check us out at 6 p.m. through 2 a.m. I'll say 2 a.m.
Yeah.
2 a.m. on Saturday, where we'll be doing live stream.
Hope for the best.
For the entire pay-per-view for UFC 259. And what a pay-per-view it's going to be, so you're not going to want to miss it.
Yeah, well, there will be beers. So.
Oh, there will be plenty of drinks. May even be some vegetation.
Some vegetation.
Yeah.
The devil's lettuce.
And we will be having our financial advisors on deck. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. That is us. Check us out next Thursday night when we begin our coverage of UFC 260. UFC 260 we will be starting on next week. That's going to be a huge fight, and we could talk about it, but we're not going to.
Yeah.
So we'll save that for next week, and everybody tune in Saturday, 6 p.m. start time. Check us out at 6 p.m., and you're going to want to stay with us for 7 hours because it's going to be that damn entertaining.
That damn entertaining.
All right, we're out of here.